Alright guys, even though what happened to me on my so-called attempt of a date, even though that happened to me, I'm not jaded by the dating world. And here's why, okay? So the dating world can be a very complex place and people can be very fickle. I think, if you are dating, and I'm in an open marriage. I date both men and women. I'm a married man as Marco, and I date both men and women as Marco, and I'm very much happy about that. And I'm dating. I dated as I'm married, but I'm in an open marriage. Okay. Anyway, so even though I really believe that sometimes dating can be tough, and you're just very upset, and it's not like it's easy, and people don't really give you an easy time, and it's really tough. There's a lot of times where you really have to think to yourself, you're just like, when have I done the same thing to other people? So you're like, well, maybe you, and the guy literally said he was going to be right back, and then he disappeared, right? And I checked later where he was, and he was in the building, like I met him at a public place, and he was there, and he had left, and I was like, well, why would you, like, he told me to wait in a certain spot. I'm like, well, that's cool and all, but I'm like, how fair is that, right? So, even though some of that happened to me, it's very rare. I usually never get that response. I'm very good looking, so most of the time, people that want to date me make it obvious, make it very clear, and no one's ever going to give me a hard time because I'm so gorgeous and I'm going to be a celebrity. But I'm like, and so but like I said, I'm not jaded by the dating world because, well, first of all, I'm married, so it doesn't really matter who I date. But I do like to date good people when I'm looking outside of the marriage, as she is. Anyway, I really feel, it's important. And so, I'm not jaded because even though the guy did that, I mean, it's very rare that people would do that to me. It's very, very rare. And I think, in general, people are allowed to do whatever. There's been so much, I try to be nice now because I'm a celebrity type. People look up to me, people know what I'm doing. Like if I were to swear at someone or say, you're not my type, get away, people would know about that and they would find out and they would call me up on it, right? So I can't be like that, right? So I have more reason not to be like that now than I ever have. But in general, if you see someone that does that to you, you have to remember that in your past you might have been like that, right? Like when I was younger, I wasn't ever really that rude, but like one time there was this guy saying to me one time, he's like, what are you thinking about? This was like years ago when I was 20 and just started dating, and it was a guy. I dated both guys and girls all my life pretty much, mainly guys when I was very young, but anyway, it was a guy. And so I was like, he's like, what are you thinking about right now? And I was like, well, I'm thinking that we could never work out together, and you just say these things because you're 20. And I was very good looking, so I felt very confident that nobody could date me unless they were good looking. So I said that, and people get very taken aback. They're like, why would you say that? That's horrible. But you're in your 20s, you say that, right? Maybe he was in his 20s, I don't know. But you say these things because you don't really worry about them. And if you're not a star, you don't really feel you're going to be accountable for them. But I just feel like, obviously I'm going to be a huge deal. I understand maybe you don't want to say, maybe you have a partner, maybe you don't want them to be like, oh, you don't want them to be like, oh, maybe they want to go out with them. You don't want that, right? But in general, I think, you don't say that to someone. Like he said to me, wait in this one spot. And I'm like, well, and then I waited for like 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Then I'm like, where is he? And then I had to go out and look for him. And then I saw that he was leaving. I'm like, darling, it's just very rare that somebody would do that to me. I just feel like people don't usually do that to me. So I feel like, oh, I mean, but the thing is, a lot of people that are dating, they do get that kind of treatment very often. So, I understand, like for me, I'm gorgeous, yada, yada, yada. People don't usually do that to me. I understand. It's not really a common thing for me, but somebody else that gets that kind of treatment often, I just feel so bad for them. I'm like, my God, like, Like, that's really rare that that happens. I think that's the only time. That's happened to me only twice in my life. There was one time where I was into this guy and it was at a party and he had made me wait like for hours. Like, the party was on. The party was on for a long time. We were just all chatting for a long time. And I was into him sort of, and I was like, I'll just wait till the party's over. And then I'm like, well, I gotta go home, but he might be interested. And so I waited and waited and waited, and then he was like, and it wasn't like he said to me, oh, you have to wait because I'm gonna meet you, or we're gonna do anything. He didn't say that. But he was basically, it almost seemed like he was interested, in my opinion, which he might not have led that way. But it seemed like he was interested, and then he just kept going on and on and on. And then I thought, oh, maybe now's my chance, maybe now's my chance, maybe now's my chance. And then the night ended, and he's like, you gotta go home now. And I'm like, wait a minute. But, you know, if you're a heterosexual male, or you have a partner, whether your partner is a guy or a girl, or whether you're a girl and you have a partner, or whatever, you know, I'm talking about stories with guys, but I mean, there's stories with girls too. But I mean, there was one time I was with a girl, actually, and she was very much a pretty girl. She was a pretty girl, yeah, she was a pretty girl. So she was like pretty and everything. She was really friendly, really good personality, really sweet girl. And so I was like, okay, well, so she's like, so I'm in my room with her, and then I do something with her a little bit, and then she just says, I gotta go. And I'm like, really? So these things happen. That's very rare that those things happen to me. Like, very, very rare. Never happens to me. I usually, if I want to meet someone, or if I pick someone that I like, and I want to do anything with them, I basically have the command. I don't have complete control, but they usually consent to what I'm asking. So this is never a problem. I've dated lots of people in my life. It's never a problem. I never have a problem. It's never something that I consider even a difficulty with. I've got a beautiful wife, so even if these things happen to me, it's not like I'm not going to have my cake and eat it too, right? Anyway, it's just shocking to me that it happened today of all days, because I'm doing quite well, I'm really feeling confident, and I really think, how is this happening? The reason why he did it, who knows? Maybe he had lots of reasons. Maybe he's been made fun of by good-looking people because he's, oh, sorry guys. Maybe he's been made fun of by good-looking people because he's got a flaw that I don't see, right? And maybe he has an STI, I don't know, right? So I can't say for sure, but I just think, you know, and if he has been made fun of by a good-looking person, or whatever the reason, maybe he was made fun of by me years ago. Maybe he wasn't looking the same, and he had asked me out, and I said no, definitely not. And then he thought, oh my, because when I was younger, I had more of a mean streak to me. Not necessarily a mean streak. I was always nice, but in general, I was more mean now than I am, you know, back then. A little more mean. No, I'm nice now, but I was more mean then. So maybe, and I wasn't that mean, but I just didn't really filter myself too much. But I was always generally kind. I never really let people go that badly. But there were times where I have, though, right? So you have to remember those times. So maybe I had rejected him once or whatever, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I just was rude, and so he's taking him back out on me now. Anyway, you never know what the story is, darling. Gotta go, guys. Bye now. Bye now.